the rap beats. See you on the way up. Only looking down when we're seeing where we came from. You ain't gotta wait up. Never gonna slow back down. There's no stopping now. They can't take us down. There's no reason to fight this feeling. 'Cause I love this life. Yeah, it feels alright. And there's no reason to stop believing. 'Cause I love this life. And the future's bright. And there's no reason to fight this feeling. Yeah, I love this life. 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 I won't wait around for the curtain fall. Life is not a race, it's all one big show. I can see it now that the truth is told. Feels like letting go. 'Cause I love this life. Yeah, it feels alright. And there's no reason to stop believing. Yeah, I love this life. And the future's bright. And there's no reason to fight this feeling. Yeah, I love this life. 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 Cause I love this life. Yeah, it feels alright. And there's no reason to fight this feeling. 'Cause I love this life. Yeah, it feels alright. And the future's bright. Yeah, it feels alright. Yeah, I love this life. Yeah, I love this life. Yeah, I love this life. Woo! Yeah. Ooh, yeah. I'm feeling like a brand new me. Brand new, brand new. Brand new, brand new. I blew away the clouds I was standing under. Traded all my rainy days for a little summer. I fly so high right now that I might not come back down. Dancing to my own beat, cherry on the top, sweet. Everything around me is looking up. If life is what you make it, I'ma celebrate it. I'm feeling like a brand new me. For the very first time, I'm where I'm meant to be. I'ma tell everybody I'm feeling like a brand new me. Brand new, brand new. Cloud nine, I just took a little visit and the old me didn't know what I was missing. Seeing so clear, got that 20/20 vision. It was in me all along. All I had to do was listen to that heartbeat down inside of my chest. The little voice in the back of my head saying, one day you'll be living the dream. You'll see. I'm feeling like a brand new me. For the very first time, I'm right where I'm at.
What's up, guys? We're back.
What up?
We are back. Ethan's popping in a sec. I got Evan Andrews here, the man, the myth, the legend. What's going on, guys? How are we?
I am doing swell. It's raining here.
Oh, really?
Supposed to be super rainy for the next couple of days. So
Oof.
at least it'll be cool still, and it's not hot yet.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. If you guys are tuning in, we're answering any questions about how to scale your video business. If you have questions around pricing, packaging, how to increase your lifetime value, how to get more clients, how to get more retainers, we'll kind of start this off with more so of us going back and forth and just like starting it off that way. And then questions you guys have, let's go ahead and drop those down below, and then we are happy to answer those for you. So if you're tuning in, I have Instagram over here on my left, and then I got LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, all that jazz over here on my right. So any questions you have, let us know. Pop Ethan in here. What is up, dude? How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
What up?
Good. Well, cool, guys. What are we seeing so far? Like, what's the trend this week? What kind of questions are you getting in the coaching side? And then we can kind of answer any questions people have as those start to come in here.
I think on my end, it's just been mostly like ad scripting, things like that. After maybe the first or second round of ads, a little bit in how to revitalize scripts, maybe make them a little bit better.
Yep.
Outside of that, technical stuff on the back end, like trying to find the right audiences, things like that. But mostly around this, I would say the scripting aspect of ads has been my biggest thing so far this week.
Some of the biggest, like the best ads I've seen and our clients have run are ones that lead with the hook is social proof in the beginning, right? So it's like a client case study or a client result, or some client got this result with their content. And then it leads into the promise, and it leads into playing on the pain points, and then the solution, and then the call to action, right? So like Max, for example, they closed another 48K deal last night, but it's like their ad is like Dr. Davis, which is one of their clients, right? Saying, hey, like we're packed out with content, or we're packed out with patients. Like we literally can't take on more people. And that's the first like 5 to 10 seconds of the ad.
Yeah.
And then it goes into, hey, what he's talking about is we're going to implement this content solution into your business, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes into the rest of his ad, right? But you believe it because there's literally a doctor saying that it helped him crush it, right? And there's a lot of fluff out there when people see ads. So the way you get your ad to stand out is by literally leading with proof, right?
Yeah.
I think that's something super underrated. I don't know what your thoughts are, Evan.
No, 100%. I mean, it's just the validity in somebody else saying it rather than you just say, because we can all say whatever we want.
You can make a lot of promises.
Right? Yeah. So if you have somebody else out there, or you have multiple people, it's just like that kind of snowball effect that I think is the strongest leg that anybody can stand on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and if you don't have client results, then get client results too. Right. And that's key number one. People are like, well, how do I get those? It's like, well, that's something we help you with, but like, you got to get clients results. Otherwise you can't just promise things and then not fulfill on it. Like that's completely unethical, and it's not what we do. Right. So that's super, super key as well. So ads, obviously, like getting those right, going through a couple of versions, making sure you're testing, making sure you're iterating, not giving up after the first round. What else do you typically see, Evan?
I mean, and you're talking about in terms of ads specifically?
Can be anything. Can be ads. Can be like, why are people not seeing the success they want?
I think I spoke about this a little bit last week, but it was honestly testing enough. In creative variation. Now, there is like a weird fine line that I've noticed of, if your spend's not big enough, it doesn't make sense to have a certain amount of creatives, which that number is not set in stone in any way, shape, or form. But there's kind of a range that if I know what your budget is, hey, run maybe this amount of creatives at a time, kind of try and figure it out from there. But yeah, I just see too many people maybe come in and run 1 or 2 ads, and then it's kind of like, hey, nothing happened. And it's kind of like, okay, well, yeah, I could probably tell you why nothing happened.
And then the next thing is like when you're starting to get those qualified, sorry, camera's bugging out here. When you start to get those qualified leads, right, then it becomes a sales issue, right? And so if you're not good at sales, it's like people misdiagnose the problem to where they're like, oh, it's an ads issue, when it's really, you need to get better at closing issue, right? Like we've talked to our clients about this as well, but it's like, don't send a proposal, go over the price on the call,
right?
All of the structure we have for the actual sales process. And it's like, your ads could not make any money if you don't get the sales process down. You don't lock that in.
Of course. Yeah. It's all a stepping stone for sure.
Yeah. And then when you do, you get results like with Max, close the 48K deal last night by just calling the leads that are already in the system from people who opted in and expressed interest, right?
Yeah.
Or like Brandon, I just did a case study with him. He's at $40K a month right now in his video agency from just doing home service companies and just getting really good at closing. And his closing rate's like 60%, right? So it's
Yeah.
like it's all a pipe. And if anything is broken or leaking in the pipe, then you don't get as much water across the line as you really want to, if that makes sense. So
100%.
that's key. I see you guys on the live. What questions do you have? As we're kind of babbling on over here, ask us any questions around scaling your video business. Like, what kind of things are you struggling with? There's no stupid questions here, so drop those down below, and we'll continue to go through that. But Ethan, what are some of the problems people have as far as sales? Like, what are they doing in these sales calls that maybe throw them up?
Yeah, and one of them is not even related like directly to the call. Kind of piggybacking off of Evans is just not calling your leads quickly enough. Like waiting 3 or 4 days to reach out to them, and then they may forget who you are. What time you call them?
Yeah, dude. Imagine how many pieces of content they're getting served. I would love to know the stats on that. Do we know that, Evan? Do you know how many pieces of content the average person sees in a day? I should.
Oh no, but I'm sure ChatGPT could tell me.
I'm gonna look that up right now.
Probably hundreds at least.
Oh,
So
yeah.
just,
I
you're
mean,
dropping a
I think it
bucket.
depends on the person, but yeah, I mean, on average, hundreds for
Let's see.
sure.
So
Probably
most estimates, the average person sees between 4,000 and 10,000 advertisements per day. And that's across television, media, social media, billboards, online ads, like all of those.
Yeah, some of it's so subliminal now that you don't even realize it.
And so like if you're not calling the leads right when they come in, speed to lead is key. I think it was like a study Harvard did. If you don't call the lead within the first 5 minutes of them coming into the system or reaching out to you, it drops off by like 400% the likelihood of you getting them on a call and then closing them after that.
Yeah.
Which is huge. It's a huge amount. I mean, and so just not reaching out to the leads, Ethan. Anything else that people are kind of not doing?
I would say like discovery is a big thing that I see people struggling with. Obviously you can identify the problem. That's pretty easy. You just ask about that one. Just digging in and further than just like, hey, why do you want to solve that? And then also like, what happens if we don't?
Consequence. What's the cost of inaction? Yeah,
making it a need and less, more of a need and not like a nice to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go a couple questions here. So, Two Doors Productions. I already know what I need to do to scale, but struggle with accountability. I realize what I truly need is a supportive community to help me on track. Do you have a question within that, or would you like us to maybe comment on that? Maybe Evan, I don't know if you want to comment on people who've gone through the same kind of struggles, or maybe.
I mean, for the accountability factor, I mean, obviously that's person to person, right? Like we know that there's a lot of people in the community here where it's like, you don't really have to keep up with them. They're really good at coming to us and saying like, hey, I've done this. But then we have the other people that are kind of like, okay, we need the touch points. You got to touch them, got to make sure everything's going the way it is. And then there's people that fall kind of in the middle. Right. But I think the biggest thing that I think helps with the community aspect is if you're somebody that gets that fire lit from under you by seeing other people around you do it, then that's where I think the community comes in big. Also too, where like when you're not able to get like coaching direct, right? The community kind of supplements with, errors or trial and errors that they've had or whatever. And kind of, if you have a hurdle in front of you, I don't necessarily have to answer the question. You or Ethan doesn't have to answer the question. There's plenty of people here who have probably experienced what they're going through and can answer that question kind of for them. And it's kind of like you have 100 coaches. Yeah. Right.
Well, I mean, looking at our community right now, I'll tell you how many people are in there. 237 right now in our private mastermind. And so like, I know Brandon's gotten this question a lot where like he's at, $40K a month in home service. Like if you're in the home service industry, you can go to Brandon and like ask him questions around that specifically. Right. And then I think the other side of it that really helps people that I've heard a lot in the case studies that I record is like, it's raising the mindset of like, I can actually charge this much, because you're seeing people closing deals in the wins tab of the community every single day. And so when you're seeing that, you're like, oh shoot, I can charge 40K for this, or I can charge 100K for this, or I can charge, 200K for this, or whatever it may be. Right. And you're just like expanding what you think is possible, because a lot of times with like price and what you think you can charge, it's all based on like what your mental limitations are, because you just have never charged more, right? And so you think you can't, but there's really just this invisible glass ceiling thing right in front of you, and you can do it. You just think you can't. It's like the elephant, that's tied to a tree with a little rope. That elephant could rip that tree right off, right? But he doesn't think he can, because obviously he's been mentally conditioned to think he can't. So it's the same thing with pricing, right? So 100%, man. I mean, the community side of it is really huge. Just getting around people who are doing more than you is usually like, I try to surround myself with those types of people all the time as well. So
no, 100%.
Yep. Ethan, any final thoughts on that before we go to the next question?
No, hit the nail on the head.
Cool. Beck says, after initial sales call proposal, what are your recommendations on the follow-up schedule? How long do you wait in between calls? I'll give my thoughts, and then we can kind of go around the room and everybody can give some thoughts here. So typically we don't do, like, depends on how you structure it, right? So if you do a sales call, if you're doing a 2-call close, that's fine. But you do the initial call, that's the discovery. And then you say, okay, we're going to put something together, and then you schedule the next call. And then usually on the next call, you go over the price, you go over the proposal, you go over the terms, you answer any questions, you objection handle the best you can on that second call. And then you try to close. And if you don't close, you get a calendar commitment for the next call after that. And so a big mistake a lot of people make is they're like, discovery call, and then I'm going to email a proposal. And Beck, let me know if this is you. There's no shame. We're not going to judge you too hard. Don't worry. But like, are you like, a lot of people will do the discovery and then they'll send the proposal right afterwards over email and then wait to hear back. The problem with that is you have no leverage as the business owner anymore, because you've just given away all your leverage over email, and you don't want to objection handle people over email. It just doesn't work, right? So you want to be there to answer questions on the phone and go over the process. And then as far as scheduling the call after that next sales call, when you pitch price, I try to go for like 2 to like 5 days max. If somebody's like, yeah, can we schedule this in 2 weeks? Then like, major red flag. They're probably planning on ghosting you. And you want to get that objection first on the call. Be like, hey, no worries. Like, is something coming up for you? Or maybe this isn't aligned with what you're looking for. But Evan, I see you nodding your head.
No, I'm just agreeing. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I mean, you can usually tell pretty instantly if somebody's going to ghost you or not. The signs are relatively easy to spot, but getting that commitment is just the most important part.
Yeah. And I don't care if you get 5 calendar commitments, but like and this is what I preach to everybody in the program, and it helps them close deals, get a calendar commitment. So if someone's like, hey, I want to think about it, no worries. When do you want to schedule the next call? And then schedule the call, and then go back into the conversation, say, hey, I know you said you wanted to think about it. What specifically within what we went over do you feel like you need to think about? And you go into that and you try to alleviate any of those concerns, or at least figure out what's going on before you leave the call. Because a lot of that stuff is a smokescreen, and you need to know like why they're asking that. You need to know what they're saying, and like, you don't want to leave the call with no clarity on like what they're actually thinking, because thinking about it is not a real objection. That's just
because I mean, they're not going to get any more information anywhere other than the call that they're currently on.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah. Beck says 100% me so far. Yeah. I mean, dude, you could probably scoop another 20 to 25% of sales, like increase your close rate by like 20 to 25% by simply just doing everything you're doing in the proposal, but going over it on a call. Like, that's it. Like, because when I'm face to face, I can conquer objections. And then if they want to think about it more, that's fine. Let's schedule another call. And then I just keep going over it on the next call. If you don't get that call though, then you're in that follow-up chase, and you're like, hey, I'm just checking in. Hey, did you get the proposal? Hey, what are your thoughts on that? Hey, do you want to buy? Hey, do you want to give me your credit card? And it just like puts you in a weird position, and like, no one wants to be there. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Ethan, any other thoughts there?
No, only thing I would add is like, sometimes it just depends what the objection is. Like, if it's like, hey, I need to go find the money, right? Then that timeline could vary there, or, but like in that situation, you could try to get a deposit, try to, like get agreement taken care of, and just get some form of commitment. Just stair step them up the ladder, like agreement, deposit, full payment, just some form of commitment.
Yeah, exactly. Beck, let me know if that makes sense. If you have more questions, happy to answer those as well. Thank you so much. Absolutely, man. You got it. Evan Moore, you suggested outsourcing post to Philippines, which I am hesitant to do. Sales is easy for me, but finding good editors has been hard. They're either cheap and no good or expensive, and I make no margin. Evan, you want to start this one?
Well, I've kind of experienced both.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, honestly, it's just about, I mean, there's so many of them out there. It's
Yeah.
kind of like batting practice a little bit at the end of the day. Like, you just have to go through them. I mean, you can do what you can to go find them yourself. I don't know if anybody's like me, but like every day I probably get hit up by 7 editors.
Yeah.
Every time I post a reel, like,
Yeah.
editor hit me up. Right. So I don't have that problem of like going and finding them. Like, they come my way all the time.
Yeah.
But overall, outsourcing is going to be the way that you're going to grow ultimately.
It's usually they're like, people are not doing enough volume of interviews to find the right people.
True.
Right. That's you have to do 10 times.
Or your
more
SOPs are just,
or your SOPs suck. So it's two things. You either are bad at training, right? And set clear expectations, do the what, the why, and the how. So what you're going to do, why you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. Or you're not taking enough volume of interviews. Like you took 2 or 3 interviews and then you picked one out of that. Like, it usually is 10 times the amount of volume on the interview side. Like, that's been my experience with not even just hiring editors, but hiring salespeople, hiring CSMs, hiring coaches, like, you have to do a lot more volume than you think. And then the other side of it is like, you need to think about what kind of content are they editing. So if it's long form stuff, I would do a US based editor. Like if it's story based cutting, emotional based cutting, brand videos, longer form content, stuff that requires like intellect as far as like pacing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would 100% do somebody in the United States, interview enough people, and then find the best person. And then to solve the margin problem, you just need to charge more.
Yeah.
So labor becomes 25% of your total margin.
That's
right.
That's what I was going to say is, if sales are easy, you probably have a pretty high close rate. So you have.
That's what I was going to say as well. Yeah. So Evan, I'm curious, man. Like, do you know your close rate? Because if you do, drop it down below. But if your close rate, like if you talk to 10 people, how many of those would you close? If you can drop that, if you're still on, I think this would be interesting. Because one of our clients, both of our clients, Brandon and Max, both have like a 60% closing rate. When I see a close rate above 40%, it means that typically your price is too low, right? Which compresses the margin. It means you don't have enough margin to hire the right people. Yeah, you just said I close 80%, 250 revenue, average job is 25K. Yeah, dude, like just up your price. Like just up your price. Like 80% is insane. Like I would want your close rate to be closer to like 25% and your average job to go up to 50 or 75K, right? And so if I can do that, then I can manipulate it, because right now, like, you just are, I mean, are you doing all the editing yourself as well? Let us know. I'm curious. Because like right now you have a bunch of leads, you have a bunch of jobs, but you're handicapping yourself in terms of growth because you don't have enough money to hire someone or hire someone good, right? You can't afford A-level talent, 50-50 on edits. Like, you need to get yourself out of the editing. And then if you're at 280, like typically people cap at like 300, 350 when they're just a one-man band and have a couple of helpers, right? So you got to decide, like, do you want to get to 1 million? And if you want to get to 1 million, what you need to do is hire a full-time editor, up the pricing, drop the close rate to like 25%, 30%. You won't close as many people. You'll have less people, but they'll be at a higher amount. And then you hire a videographer, you hire a CSM, and then you start to scale to 100K a month, 200K a month, whatever you want to get to, right? But you can't do that with your current margins. What are your, you might not feel comfortable telling us this, and that's fine, but what are your current margins right now with like the actual projects? That's what I'd be curious about. And you don't have to tell us if you don't want to, but that's fine. I just, based on what you're telling me, your close rate's way too high. Like, you shouldn't be closing 80, just your price too low. That means everybody's saying yes, right? And that was a good call, Ethan, 100%. Like, doing 280, because you could probably do 500 if you got to 75K per project, and then that closing rate gets cut in thirds. Varies depending on crew size. Yeah. You just have to be okay with more people saying no. And then you have more money to hire better people. And then you also make more margin when you charge more. So it's, price is one of the biggest levers you can just pull down, and then you can start getting way more profit and then be able to scale even further. So,
yep. And something I see with some of our students too is having too much like crew cost. for just like, if you're going to do short form content, you don't need to pay, $2,000 a day in crew. Like, you could do it. You should honestly just do it yourself.
Well,
Maybe-
yes, or you should charge more and have enough margin. So like the average margin for your kind of business, Evan, is like you should be paying 20 to 25% on labor. So like if you make $100K in a month, $20,000 to $25,000 goes to labor. And then you usually, I mean, with our model, it's more so like you'll spend another 10 to 15% on ads, right? And then you're left with, obviously, what is that, 30, 40. So you're left with 60% margins on the entire business as a whole, right?
Yeah.
So you want to look at like, how much did you make? If you made 280 last year, how much of that went to labor? And then how much of that went to other costs? And what does that P&L percentage breakdown look like? And then basically plugging in, being like, okay, my labor is too high, or I don't have enough to pay those people, so I need to charge more. So let me know if that makes sense, Evan. You said most of your leads come from Google. Are they like SEO? Like, is it people organically searching for you, or is it paid SEO? Is it paid Google search? Like, how are they coming in? That's what I'd be curious about as well. I'll wait on that answer. We'll come back to that. But yeah, let us know if that's helpful too, Evan. In regards to the sales funnel you build, are you having your clients create a playbook, or what are you hooking future customers with some form of value? It depends. There's two different types, right? So there's an indirect Beck and there's a direct. Indirect is like using a lead magnet. So a free playbook, a free PDF, a free whatever, right? That's what we would call an indirect, right? When you have an indirect thing, you basically have more people coming in, but they're more like on the freebie seeker side, which is fine if you want high volume of leads and cheap leads, right? And then the other side that we'll help with is more of like an offer direct funnel where it's, hey, if you're this market, we're going to help you do this thing, or, whatever the guarantee, if you have one, is. And then you're just attracting people who are already ready to buy. So it's a smaller population, higher cost, but better quality. So we have both, if that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense too. And then Two Doors Productions, I think you were asking the same question. Involves an outgoing message that provides value. No, so it starts with ads. So we help our clients run ads basically. And then we're basically setting up a backend system as far as the CRM, as far as calling them, texting them, getting them to self-schedule, getting them on the calendar, and then selling them on a retainer model or a retainer, which gets consistent recurring revenue, if that makes sense. That's essentially what we do. Sorry, guys, I'm talking too much. Evan, Ethan?
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, the inbound system aspect of it is the most important part because it frees up all the time.
And it's intent based too. You're not reaching out.
100%. Yeah, it's not.
It's not cold calling. Like we don't.
Because cold stuff is
cold sucks.
It
you have no leverage.
If you want to waste a ton of time and make money, do cold outbound.
Yeah. No, it's
sorry.
It's not fun.
I hate it, dude. I didn't scale my business with cold outbound. I just teach things I actually do. So like I don't do that.
Like people that work like secretaries and whoever is typically picking up the phone, I've heard that some of them are actually like trained and told to just turn away cold callers.
I worked for a company where I was the person to answer the phone. I mean, it was right before the job I had before I came into Master Filmmaker as a student. I was a customer service and designer, and I had to answer the phones, and everybody that came through, if they asked for the person in charge of whatever, that wasn't me.
Away.
It was like, it was just, oh yeah, they're not available right now. And you don't give their email and you don't give any sort of contact info.
That's crazy. Let's get through a couple more questions here. No, it's all organic. I have a good amount of reviews, people in our industry. Okay. Yeah. So if you did Google ads and you got low quality leads, here's the misconception a lot of people have is they say, okay, I tried ads one time. I'm not saying this is you either, Evan, but this is just what people say. Like they're like, oh, I tried ads one time, but I got really shitty leads. And it's like, it's a couple reasons. It's A, the targeting is off. B, the ad doesn't call out the target pain points of the audience. C, you're targeting a broke audience. What am I on? C? D, you don't have proper filtration in your lead form. So like you don't have conditional logic built into the lead form where if somebody comes in, answers the wrong questions, they get booted out. And then you're training the pixel to look for more unqualified people. That's D. What am I on? A, B, C, D, E.
E.
Thank you. E is we also just like didn't go through a proper nurturing or sales process, because like you're gonna have some people who come into the funnel who are like not ready to buy right now, and we need to nurture them with emails, automated email sequences, automated content. Like if you guys are on this right now, this live is a form of nurture, right? You might have seen one of my ads, right? You came into the funnel, you opted in, maybe an appointment setter or a salesperson talked to you, right? And then you still have some questions. You're kind of on the fence about whether or not you want to work with us or not. So then we do these lives, right? And then these lives answer questions. You get to know us more. We're real people over here. At least I am. I don't know about Ethan and Evan, but like you have to have the right nurture systems also to just bring people more into the seat, like to get to know, like, and trust you, right? So that's another side of it as well. They're not going to be the same as people who are just organic, who are like, oh, I know so-and-so, you worked with him. Like, I'm just ready to pay you money. Because the problem is you can't scale off of that. Like you can't scale off of word of mouth and referrals because like it's capped. Whereas if I can go to a blue ocean of millions of people and start converting them, I can start to scale even further because I have a wider audience of people that I actually know how to convert, right? And then I can scale that thing by just spending more on ads. That's essentially the idea. So
yeah, and you also have no control over organic either. Like with ads, it's just a knob that you can turn up and down.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Let's see. Got a lot of questions over here, guys. I'm going to try to rip through these. How do you guys go about hiring for your teams? It depends on who. So editors, if you're doing like a Philippines, like you're hiring somebody from the Philippines, I'll give you the short TLDR. Go to onlinejobs.ph, put out an application, be super specific, get 100 applications, take 10 people out of those that you like, do a group interview, and then select 2 to 3 of those to do a test project where they like do a test edit or something like that. You see the quality, and then you pick the 1 or 2 people you like the most, and then you hire that person from there. That's like the TLDR without me spending a ton of time going over it. Beck, totally going on Evan's comment. I've interviewed a few and the quality is just not there. Yeah, you have to interview more. Like you just have to do more. Like you have to do more volume. That's it's the non-sexy answer. Like you got to take, instead of interviewing 3 people, you have to interview 20 or 25 or 30. It's the same thing with people who run ads. Like if you launch 2 ads and it doesn't work, you have to launch more ads. Like I've tested and launched hundreds of ads, like, but no one wants to do that because it's not fun. It's not sexy, but that's what gets results. Like volume negates luck at the end of the day. And Evan, I saw you talking about this on one of your shorts as well.
Yep. 100%.
Just like really making sure you're doing more, right? Yep. If I wanted to work with your team, how could I submit my work to you guys? You can go to our link in bio on Instagram. There should be a form to submit there if you want to learn more about what we do and how we help. Thanks for all that you do, guys. What books and coaching programs have you used in the past that have helped you learn what you know now? Evan, Ethan?
This one?
Well, you have to give one other than ours. It's super biased when you're like, oh yeah, dude, ours is.
No, I mean, I've read obviously Hormozi stuff. There is a good book that I read by a guy named Sabri Subi called Sell Like Crazy. What else have I read? Mindset stuff that's just good in general. There's one called Shift Happens by a guy named Robert Holden, I think is his last name. It's just about like when things aren't going your way, how to like kind of stay in the right mindset of things. Well,
and I've just like I've Hormozi, Sabri Subi, Dan Henry, like I've taken a lot of that, and then I've also just gone out and I'm doing it literally right now. So like if you're learning from people who are not doing what you want to do, like that's a problem, right? But I'm just literally testing new ads, testing new funnels, testing new copy, testing how to hire better sales team members, how to train better salespeople, how to hire a CSM. Like I do all that right now. So I just like pass that on to people that are in the program as far as like, this is how we do it. And like, this is what I'm learning. And like, this is my own experience, and take it or leave it. So,
and picking and choosing what works for you. Cause that's kind of what we've done is just,
like every program I've ever joined, I join the program, I do exactly what they say. And then once I get results, I then iterate based on that. And I say, okay, like I did this, I got some results, I'm happy with that, but I think I could iterate and do it better. What a lot of people do is they join a program and they don't follow the program and they try to iterate before they have success. And then they have those issues, right? But like, Ethan and I have joined a lot of programs. Every program we've ever joined, we've always gotten like a 30 to 40x ROI off of it because we just make it work. And if you come in with the mindset of like, I'm going to make it work, you're going to make it work, right?
Yep. And even just some of the smallest things, like it wouldn't even be like this new sales process that I found out. There was
There was that one question we got from somebody, and they were like, yeah, it was like, do you need a payment plan? And we had been taking a lot of sales calls, and they were going fine. We were just getting a lot of pay plans, so we weren't collecting as much cash. And the coach that we were working with was like, hey, why don't you just say, do you need a pay plan? I was like, okay. And then I think we did like 30K in a day after we did that. I was like, oh, that's good. It's like the little tiny things sometimes that really make a huge, huge difference. So yeah, it's those little, and it was like with Roman, one of our clients, he was like, I'm going to send a proposal. I was like, don't send a proposal. And he closed a 140K deal because he did it over the phone instead of sending a proposal. So,
Yep.
Couple more questions. I know we got to run here, guys. We have a niche that doesn't understand the power of video compared to other industries. How do you best communicate ROI? Beck, what industry, what niche is what I would ask. And then I'll come back to that. One book I would suggest is Good in a Room about pitching networking. Yeah. Sick. I love that. Dental, Beck, I'm gonna give you some hard truth here, man. One of the client, Max, that we work with right now, they do dental like mainly. So I guess I would ask you, like, you're saying there's not ROI, but there is. How can you show them the ROI is what I would challenge you to think through. Like,
I think that's what he asked.
What's that?
I think that's what he asked.
He said we don't have we have a niche that doesn't understand the power of video compared to other industries.
How do you communicate?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So get case studies with your past clients, ask them what they actually did with the content, see if you can get them to quantify the numbers that they landed through working with you. And then use that in your ads and use that in your copy and use that before your sales call. Evan, anything else there?
No. That's totally it. I mean, some people are so stuck in their ways of how they've been doing things for years and years and years, and it just compounds. I mean, my mom works for an orthodontist, for example, and she told me a big way of how they do most of their stuff, and none of it is really related to almost anything digital.
Okay.
Not even like Google or anything like that. I mean, they're very like community heavy because like it's braces. So it's like kids, elementary schools, like that's like their bread and butter. They don't really go outside of that. It's just how, I mean, conveying the message is just
like one of our clients, his ad for dentists literally like is a dentist saying, hey, we used your content and we're literally packed out for months, or we're packed out for a month with new appointments and new patients. And then he slapped that as the hook on the ad. And then the rest of the ad is him going through his pitch. And then that's like their best converting ad. They spent like $2,000 and they've generated almost $200,000 off of that one ad. And so like, go back to your past clients, see what you can get as far as case studies and results. And like for him, he didn't even say they made money off it. They just said we got packed out. And so like they use that as the hook, and then that's like their top performing ad. So I would say like go back through and do that. Yeah, you got it. Absolutely, Beck. Any other questions, guys? We got to dip here in just a sec. What else do we have? I got like 2 minutes here. Good questions today, guys. We do this every Thursday. So if you have questions, we're live on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube here. Let's see. Okay, cool, guys. Well, if you want to learn more about what we actually do, you can click the link below. If you're on Instagram, you can go to my link in bio and schedule a call with our team, see if we can actually help. And if you need anything else, let us know, guys. We'll keep doing these, keep helping you guys out, keep bringing good questions, and we will see you in the next live. See you guys.